You've been told to control your emotions, but control is not the real power. The real power is to become untouchable by them right now. You are moved, pushed, and pulled by waves you cannot see. A single word can shatter your confidence. A single look can ignite your anger. A single disappointment can spiral you into days of quiet despair. And yet, there's a way to step outside of it all, to watch the storm without being inside it, to hold the steering wheel of your mind with an unshakable grip, while others are tossed around like leaves in the wind. If you're ready to learn this, if you want to master the force that controls your every decision, your every relationship, your every victory and failure, then listen closely. What you're about to hear may go against everything you've been taught, but if you take it in, it will give you a power most will never touch in their lifetime. Before we continue, if you find value in these words, pause for a moment, click subscribe, leave a like, because this channel exists for one purpose: to arm you with the mental weapons no one else will hand you. Point one: imagine you are sitting by a river. The current is fast, restless, chaotic. Each thought, each feeling is a leaf floating downstream. You have two choices. You can leap in, chasing the leaves, grasping at them with desperation, or you can sit still, unshaken, watching them pass. This is the first truth. Mastery is not about controlling the river. It's about refusing to drown in it. Most people confuse reaction with control. They feel something rise within, and immediately they move to fix it, change it, or unleash it. But real power begins when you break this chain. When you stop letting emotion dictate the next moment. Point two: there was once a general, cornered by an enemy 10 times larger than his own army. His men trembled. He stood silent, not because he didn't feel the fear, but because he refused to let fear command his tongue or his sword. Emotion is a suggestion, not a command. It is the whisper of an advisor, not the voice of a king. And you must be the king. You must hear the whisper, but never hand over your throne. 3. Picture yourself walking through fire, not once, but every single day. The fire is criticism, loss, betrayal, temptation, exhaustion. And yet, each step you take, you do not flinch. You are aware of the heat, but you do not scream. This is not numbness. Numbness is weakness disguised as strength. This is the deliberate choice to stand where others collapse. It is training your nervous system to remain still. When the world shakes, you die for every empire that fell first, within the mind of its leader. Before the walls were breached, the will was broken. Understand this: your mind is your fortress. Your emotions are the gates. Leave them unguarded, and any intruder, any insult, any setback can walk right in and plant a flag. Close them too tightly, you suffocate yourself inside. Balance is the art. You must be open enough to see clearly, but fortified enough to remain sovereign. 5. Ask yourself, who has the power in your life? Is it you, or is it the driver who cut you off yesterday? The coworker who spoke to you with disrespect? The stranger on the internet who questioned your worth? If they can push a button in you and you react instantly, then they own you. You are not free. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel. It's being free from the need to act on every feeling. 6. The ancient warriors knew this truth. Before battle, they would meditate in silence. They would visualize not only victory, but also defeat. They prepare themselves to lose everything and still remain unmoved. Because once you have accepted the worst, the best cannot scare you and the worst cannot break you. Emotional mastery is not about winning every time. It's about walking into the arena already whole, so no outcome can take that from you. 7. Imagine holding a glass of water, not heavy at first, but hold it for hours and it becomes unbearable. This is what happens when you carry unprocessed emotion. The weight is not in the moment. The weight is in the holding. Most people are drowning not in what happened today, but in what they refused to let go yesterday, last year, a decade ago. Letting go is not weakness. It is the act of putting the glass down so you can lift the sword again. 8. Detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. It is the ability to look at the battlefield and see exactly what needs to be done, without being blinded by rage or euphoria. The detached leader does not shout. His silence moves mountains because it is intentional. The detached fighter does not waste strikes. Each one lands with precision, because there is no panic in his muscles. You are not here to become unfeeling. You are here to feel everything and still choose your next move like a master. 9. Look at the patterns of your life. How many mistakes were born in a moment of unchecked emotion? How many words have you thrown like knives? only to regret the wound they caused? How many opportunities did you sabotage, not because they were wrong for you, but because your fear told you to run? The mind without discipline is a wild animal, powerful, but dangerous to its owner. Tame it, and it becomes the most loyal. A lie you will ever have. 10. There is a silence you must learn to love. It is the silence between stimulus and response, the pause, the breath, the sacred space where you decide whether to act or not. This is where kings are made, where warriors are crowned, where the weak are separated from the unshakable. In that silence, you are untouchable. In that silence, you own yourself completely. And so this is the beginning of the path to mastery. Not the control of emotion, but the refusal to be controlled by it. Not the killing of the river, but the choosing to sit by its edge, calm, deliberate, immovable. The world will not hand you this skill. It will tempt you to react, to lash out, to be swept away. But you will learn to stand in the storm, eyes open, hands steady, and mind unbroken. You have begun to stand in the storm, but the storm will test you. It will try to lure you back into its chaos, whispering that reaction is strength. It will dress panic in the clothing of urgency and call it leadership. You must not listen. This is where most fail. At the gates of their own mind, they can endure for a moment, but not for the long march. They hold the sword high for a day. A week, then the noise creeps in again. And here is the truth. Emotional mastery is not built in moments of peace. It is forged in the fire of repetition. It is the discipline of facing the same trigger again and again and choosing stillness each time. One, picture a mountain from a distance. It looks calm, unchanging, eternal, but on its slopes, the wind screams, the snow falls heavy, the rocks break and tumble. The mountain is not untouched. It is unyielding. You must become that mountain, not by avoiding the storms, but by anchoring yourself so deeply into your core values that no storm can move you from them. What are your values? Write them in your mind as if carving them into stone. These are your foundation, and a foundation cannot be shaken if it is not made of emotion, but of principle. 2. There was once a philosopher who lived in the heart of a city filled with noise, corruption, and temptation. He walked the streets daily, speaking with kings and beggars alike, but his inner voice never rose, never fell. Why? Because his identity was not tied to the opinions of others. They could praise him or curse him, neither changed who he was. Your identity must be like this: unmoved by applause, untouched by insult. If you are lifted to high by praise, you will fall to far when criticism comes. Anchor yourself in something deeper. 3. Imagine you are a commander in a siege. Your city walls are under constant attack, arrows, fire, the battering ram at the gate. If you run to every sound in panic, you will exhaust yourself and leave the true weak point undefended. So you train yourself to pause, to listen, to decide which threats matter and which are just noise. This is emotional triage. Not every feeling deserves your energy. Not every wave is a tsunami. Some are ripples, and they will pass without your interference. For the mind will try to convince you that every emotion is urgent. It will say, you must act now, before it's too late. This is a lie. The only thing urgent in the mind of a master is the preservation of mastery itself. You will let the fire burn itself out before pouring the water. You will watch the opponent swing wildly and tire himself before you strike. This patience will feel unnatural at first, but it is the seed of all victory. 5. There is a story of a warrior who trained for 10 years to master his sword. When the day came for battle, he did not swing wildly. He took a single step forward, waited, and struck once. The fight was over. Power is not in constant movement. Power is in controlled movement. The same is true for your emotions. Your outbursts drain you. Your restraint multiplies you. 6. You will be tempted to think that control means suppression. That to master emotion is to bury it alive and pretend it does not exist. This is another trap. Suppression is like locking a beast in the basement. It will claw at the walls until one day it breaks free and devours you. True mastery is training the beast until it walks beside you on a leash. Calm, obedient, powerful. You acknowledge its presence. You respect its strength, but it serves you, not the other way around. 7. Imagine sitting in a room with someone who is screaming at you. Their words are sharp. Their voice is venom. Most will meet volume with volume, but the master stays silent, not out of weakness, but because silence is the ultimate form of control. The screaming man is a puppet, his strings pulled by rage. You are the one who cut the strings. You are the one who decides. Whether the noise becomes part of your reality point 8 every day, you must practice deliberate detachment. Detach from outcomes. Detach from the need to be right. Detach from the illusion that you can control what others do, think, or feel. You control only one kingdom, your own mind. The moment you try to rule someone else's, you abandon your own throne. This is why so many people are miserable. They are busy fighting wars in lands they do not own. 9. Consider the life of a seasoned sailor. He does not curse the waves for being high. He adjusts his sails. He does not scream at the wind to stop. He changes course. And when the storm becomes too great, he drops anchor and waits. You must do the same with your emotions. The sea will never obey you, but your hands on the wheel. That is where mastery lies. 10. The silence you cultivate is not emptiness. It is a weapon. In the stillness, you see the moves of others before they make them. You anticipate the rise of fear before it speaks in your mind. You notice the moment when anger begins to warm your blood, and you decide whether to feed it or starve it. In this way, silence becomes foresight, and foresight becomes dominance. The road ahead will demand more than you have given before. It will demand that you choose control when everything in you screams to react. It will demand that you surrender the comfort of old habits, the quick outburst, the immediate retaliation for the slower, sharper path of the unshakable dot. And as you do, something begins to change. The things that used to provoke you no longer reach you. The insults bounce off like arrows on steel. The fear that once froze you now passes like a shadow across the ground. This is not the end. This is only the second gate. Beyond it lies a deeper mastery, one where your emotions are not only tamed, but transformed into fuel, where every feeling becomes energy to move forward, never backward. You have passed the second gate. You have learned to hold the line when the storm rises. But this is not the summit. It is the threshold to something greater. The art of turning every emotion into fuel. Up until now, you have resisted. Now, you will harness. You will take the same forces that once enslaved you and bend them to your will. One picture a blacksmith in his forge. He does not fear the fire. He stands close to it, uses its heat, shapes metal with its power. The same flames that could burn him alive are the flames that make his sword unbreakable. Your emotions are no different. Fear, anger, sadness, desire. Each is fire. Untamed, they destroy. Harnessed, they create. You must learn to place your hands close enough to feel the heat, but never so close that it consumes you. Point 2. Consider fear. Most run from it, but fear is an early warning system. It shows you where your limits live, and limits are meant to be tested. When you feel fear, ask yourself, what would happen if I walked toward it instead of away? Each time you face it, the fear loses a little of its authority over you. Soon, it will serve you as a signal, not a master. 3. Now think of anger. Left, unchecked, it blinds, or refined, it sharpens. Anger can be the fuel to build what you swore would never again be taken from you. It can be the steel in your spine when the weight feels unbearable. Channel it like a river through a turbine. It will turn wheels, power engines, move mountains, but only if you decide its direction point. For sadness is a heavy stone. Most carry it until it breaks their back, but if you place it in the foundation of something greater, it becomes part of your strength. Pain can make you bitter, or it can make you wise. It can shrink your heart, or it can deepen it until nothing shallow can satisfy you again. The choice is yours. 5. Desire is the most dangerous. It will promise fulfillment while leading you into chains. But desire is also ambition's twin. Without it, nothing is built, nothing is conquered. The key is to command it, to point it toward what builds you rather than what breaks you. Direct your desire toward mastery, not momentary pleasure. Feed it visions of who you can become, until it hungers for nothing less. 6. History is full of those who learned this art. The warrior who lost his homeland and used grief to forge an army. The scholar who was exiled and turned loneliness into 1,000 pages of wisdom. The leader who was betrayed and turned rage into a vision that united nations. None of them were born immune to emotion. They simply refused to let emotion dictate and instead made it obey. 7. Imagine standing in the center of an arena. Around you, a crowd roars. Every shout is a different voice inside your own mind. Doubt, excitement, shame, hope. You turn in a slow circle, meeting each voice with your eyes. You nod to the fear, you nod to the anger, you nod to the joy. They are all present, but you are the one in the center. They orbit you, not the other way around. Point 8. To reach this level, you must practice intentional transmutation. When emotion rises, stop and name it, not to weaken it, but to identify its shape. Once you name it, redirect it. Fear becomes preparation, anger becomes discipline, sadness becomes depth, desire becomes vision. Every emotion is energy. Energy is neutral until you give it purpose. 9. But here's the warning. You cannot harness what you deny. If you pretend you are not afraid, fear will control you from the shadows. If you pretend you are not angry, anger will poison your decisions quietly. Acknowledgement is the gate to command. Do not hide from your emotions. Stand in front of them like a general reviewing his troops. Each has a role. Each will serve you if you give it orders. 10. There will come a day when the same triggers that once shattered, you will light a fire inside you instead. When insult will make you sharper, not weaker. When loss will make you more focused, not more fragile. When temptation will strengthen your resolve instead of breaking it. This is when you will know the transformation is real. You will no longer see emotion as an enemy. You will see it as a raw material, a weapon, a source of power. Others will still drown in their own feelings, but you will stand on the shore, using their chaos as wind in your sails. And yet, there is one final gate, the last and hardest to pass. It is not about resistance. It is not about harnessing. It is about release, the art of complete detachment, where even the need for control fades. Beyond that gate, you do not just master emotion, you transcend it. You have resisted, you have harnessed. Now you will release. The final gate is the hardest because it asks you to give up even the victory you have won. It asks you to stop trying to control emotion altogether and simply let it pass through you, untouched. At this level, you no longer fight the storm. You no longer even use it. You stand so far above it that the storm becomes background noise, like the distant hum of a world you no longer live in. One picture a monk standing at the edge of a cliff. Below him, waves crash with violent power. He does not resist the waves. He does not try to ride them. He simply watches. This is the way of final mastery. The choice to no longer engage with every rise and fall inside you. You witness emotion without becoming it. You feel it move like wind across your skin, and then it is gone. To reach this, you must first abandon the illusion that emotion is your identity. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your joy, your sadness, your excitement. These are passing visitors in the house of your mind. You are the house itself, unchanged by who enters or leaves. Point 3. The great danger is attachment. Attachment to feelings you enjoy, attachment to the rush of victory, the warmth of love, the pride of achievement. Because the more you cling to the pleasant, the more you fear the unpleasant. And fear is the first crack in the wall, so you let go of both. You hold nothing so tightly that its loss could unmake you. Point for detachment is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the realization that you already have everything you need within you. When you no longer look to emotion to define your worth, you stand in a place that cannot be shaken. When you no longer need the world to give you permission to feel whole, you have already won. 5. The final gate requires you to live as the observer. In conversation, you are aware not just of what is said, but of what stirs inside you as it is said. In conflict, you see the urge to react rise like smoke, and you let it fade without fanning it into flame. In success, you feel the swell of pride, and you let it pass, knowing your worth is not tied to this moment alone. 6. There was once a leader who stood before his enemies as they cursed his name. When asked why he did not answer, he said, "If a man hands you a gift and you do not take it, to whom does it belong?" The same is true of emotion. If you do not take the anger offered to you, it remains with the giver. If you do not take the fear, the insult, the doubt, they never become part of you. 7. At this stage, time itself changes. You are no longer dragged by the past. You are no longer chained to the future. You live entirely in the present moment, not because you force yourself to, but because the grip of emotion that once pulled you away has been broken. The present becomes vast, spacious, unhurried. Every breath is complete. Point 8. Your power now is silent. It is not the loud dominance of the early stages. It is the quiet gravity that draws everything into its orbit. Others feel it when they stand near you. They cannot explain it, but they sense that nothing could shake you, and they begin to wonder how. Now you will not need to speak of your mastery. It will reveal itself in your actions, in your stillness. in the way you move through life without leaving ripples where others thrash in the water. The less you chase, the more comes to you. The less you cling, the more you can hold. 10. And finally, you will see that the true secret was never about emotion at all. It was about freedom. Freedom from being ruled by the ever-changing weather inside you. Freedom from needing the world to cooperate for you to be at peace. Freedom from the endless cycle of reaction. This freedom is not given, it is taken by discipline, by practice, by the relentless choice to step outside yourself and watch. Every moment you choose to be the storm or to be the mountain, to be the leaf in the river or to be the one who watches it flow. And now you know the counterintuitive secret to emotional mastery. It is not to win against emotion. It is not even to use it. It is to transcend it, to see it as a passing shadow on the wall of your mind. You are not the shadow, you are the wall. Walk forward from here with unshakable stillness. Let the world move around you. Let the voices shout, the winds rise, the waves crash. You will remain untouched, unbroken, unmoved, because you have not just mastered your emotions, you have mastered yourself.